At your leisure. I'm ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
We got all of that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Welcome to You Write, the podcast where creativity meets community.
I am Matt.
And I'm Rachel.
Each week on You Write, we challenge our listeners to write a story in just 30 minutes using 3 of 5 randomly generated words.
It's a fun and fast-paced exercise to spark your imagination and get those creative juices flowing.
We'll read your submissions, offer feedback, and discuss the unique twists and turns of each story.
Whether you're an aspiring author or just love a good tale, You Write is your place to explore the endless possibilities of storytelling.
So grab some driftwood, get settled in on your favorite abandoned beach, and let's dive into this week's stories.
And remember, the only limits are your imagination and 30 minutes. Let's see what you got.
So what's up?
I just ate some pumpkin stew.
Stew?
Some stew.
That sounds delicious.
It was so good. My friend made it. It's a thing that my mom used to make all the time at Halloween, where she makes stew and then puts it in a pumpkin and then bakes the pumpkins and then takes it out and then you eat it out of the pumpkin as a bowl.
That sounds delicious.
It's so good.
And I already mentioned, but I don't think I've had pumpkin stew. If I've had pumpkin stew, it's been at least like 20 years.
Wow. That's insane. So I had some last year and the year before as well. And this year, thanks to my friend Beep, who had it whenever we were little from my mom and now makes it for her family and invites me over.
Lovely.
It's so lovely.
It's a lovely tradition.
It is. Ugh, I love it.
So just for Halloween?
Yes. But you could extend it to Thanksgiving or maybe Christmas. But you can't do it between January and August.
Do you think you could use any other gourd other than a pumpkin?
Yeah, you could.
So like a squash, you think it?
Oh, yeah.
Squash stew?
Oh, yeah, because
served in a squash?
Isn't a pumpkin a squash?
Well, it's a gourd.
Right. But
I don't know.
Isn't a gourd a squash? And a pumpkin is a gourd, so...
Squash is a gourd.
A squash is a gourd and a pumpkin is a squash. So that means that a pumpkin is a gourd.
I don't know enough about gourds to refute any of what you just said, but
well, maybe you should look into it.
Okay, I'll let you know. I'll do some research and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, great. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, quite.
And quite right?
Quite right.
Quite right.
Quite right. Well, we saw you play roller derby.
Oh yeah, that happened.
That did happen.
Dang,
and you guys did so well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We worked hard. We had a great time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It felt like a bad beat, though.
A bad beat.
Yeah. I felt like there were some bad calls in there.
Oh,
not in your favor by any
bro.
stretch.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
There are some things that I am not going to let go of until I get revenge.
Was your story this week any indication of any potential feelings you may be harboring?
I will neither confirm nor deny that.
That's somehow worse.
Yeah. Well,
than either.
I'm just going to leave it at that, though.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah. So I assume you saw our stories this week.
Oh, I did. Oh, I saw them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are exceptional.
Yes.
As usual.
As usual. I feel like it, I'm not going to say this next week because I don't want to take away the veracity of what I'm saying, but I really, really enjoyed this week's stories.
I did too. I really did.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind.
Yes.
Whose story did we pick to read this week?
This week we have selected Youth by RichiePozier.
Yes, we did. And without further ado, I will be reading this one. So this is Youth by RichiePozier. Zach shuffled through the storm drainage tunnels behind Darren and Alma. Their backpacks bumped against the walls as they went. Flashlight beams reflected off the slick floor, and Zach could hear dripping water echoing through the tunnels ahead of them. The light from the entrance grew dim as they pressed deeper. "Why did you guys bring me down here?" This place gives me the creeps, Zach said. His voice cracked on the last syllable and bounced off the curved walls and back at him. It rang in his ears, and he scrunched his face in embarrassment as Darren and Alma cackled like hyenas at his soon-to-be pubescent voice. Come on, you guys, knock it off. It's gonna happen to you too, you know, Zach whined. Let's keep going. Quit laughing and move. Darren's fat ass is clogging up the tunnel, and I gotta get back home before dinner. My mom will kill me if I'm late one more time. Darren started walking again, and Alma followed close behind. Quit being such a baby, Zacky Wacky. We'll get you home before scary mom calls a wambulance. What's she making tonight? A wham burger with a side of French fries? Shut up, Darren, Alma said as she smacked him on the back of the head. Some of us don't want to disappoint our mothers. She looked back at him and grinned. Don't worry about him. He's just a stupid dumbass. And I wasn't laughing at you, by the way. I was, Darren quipped from the front. You sound like a dog to... Hey! He shouted as Alma kicked him in the ass. He stumbled forward and kicked water up into his face. Alma cleared her throat and started forward again. As I was saying, I wasn't laughing at you, Zach. I think your voice is cute. It's got character. Zach blushed and looked down at his feet as they walked in silence. After 2 minutes, they turned left and stood before a large door. Darren pushed it open and gestured for the others to follow. It's in here. Check it out. Unless you're chicken. Darren reached out and pressed a switch that lit up the large room they now found themselves in. It contained piles of old clothes and boxes that had sagged and collapsed in on themselves in the years that they had been down there, unseen and untouched. Darren flopped down in an old beanbag chair that he had managed to drag down the tunnel on a previous trip. Pretty sweet, huh? He said. Alma looked around the chamber and back at Darren. How did you find this place? She asked. My Uncle Tommy says these tunnels were built during the Revolutionary War. He showed me when we were out fishing with my dad. Check this out. Some homeless guy left a bunch of stuff. There's even food in that old shopping cart. I wouldn't eat it, though, if I were you. God knows how old it is. You might get tetanus and die, or something. Your Uncle Tommy's full of shit, Darren, Alma said. Zach walked over to the cart and started picking through the plastic bags and boxes that were on top of the pile. That's not how you get tetanus, dumbass. Maybe you should do your homework instead of spending all your time down here touching yourself. Everyone knows you get tetanus from stepping on rusty nails. Alma giggled as she reached for an old coffee mug that had been left on a makeshift shelf that a previous tenant had put together years before Darren found the place. A spider crawled out and onto her hand. Alma screamed and shook it off onto the floor where it skittered off to a safe place behind some boxes. I'm ready to go, Alma said, suddenly no longer enjoying herself. I can deal with a spider, but I'm worried about what else might be down here, like rats. And besides, it's getting dark soon. Darren rolled his eyes at her and sighed as he pushed himself up from the beanbag chair. All right, let's get out of here. I want to go to Zach's house anyway. Maybe I can get his mom to show me her Ow! Darren said as he rubbed his shoulder where Zach had punched him. Come on, let's go. They headed back out of the room and into the tunnels. Darren whistled his favorite cartoon theme as he took the lead and walked ahead of the others. Alma slowed her pace to match Zach and walked along beside him. Her forearm brushed his, and he took her hand absent-mindedly before releasing it. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Alma took his hand and gave it a quick squeeze. Zach blushed, turning his head away from her as he did so, but he didn't let go this time, and neither did Alma. She leaned over and whispered into his ear. I like you, you know. Come to the movies with me this weekend. Zach smiled and squeezed her hand. Sure.
Aww.
It's so cute.
It is so cute.
It's so cute.
I love it. It is adorable. And I did read the comments where people were like, oh, I thought that was going to take a dark turn. And I also thought that. I was like waiting for something really messed up to happen.
Well, yeah, I can't think of any stories where kids in the sewer has any bad implications, so I'm sure I don't know what they're talking about.
Right?
Especially with the username RichiePozier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I thought you were going to just lean into that
Yeah.
whole thing and give us maybe like some It fan fiction or something. So, but yeah, I'm like you. I thought it was going to go somewhere dark.
Yeah, thought it was going to go south. And it seems like Richie also thought it was going to go south, but then it kind of morphed.
Yeah. Sounds
As
like
he
you
was
might
writing.
have started to enjoy keeping these characters around. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're good characters.
They are.
They are.
I really like the dialogue between the kids.
Yeah, it feels very realistic.
It's very realistic and it's very funny. Like I laughed a few times, like when
Every
I
time
think
they
it's-
smack Darren.
yeah, and Zach said, your fat ass is clogging up the tunnel.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's so yeah. Darren's fat ass is clogging up the tunnel. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And even Alma gets in on the action. She's like, Your Uncle Tommy's full of shit, Darren.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and they seem like very relatable characters. Like I feel like we all know a Darren or are a Darren.
yeah.
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 Well, when we were little. Or
Oh,
even
yeah.
now.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love how candid they are with one another and just I don't know, just that kind of childish honesty that they all have.
Yes.
And just the awkwardness between Alma and Zach is just so adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super cute, but I mean, Alma seems pretty confident, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, it's Zach's the awkward one.
Mm-hmm. Alma knows what she wants.
And Alma gets what she wants.
Apparently, and I dare say that arm brush was not an accident.
Nope.
Nope. She's like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
I'm gonna get.
And I really like the there towards the start, quit being such a baby, Zachy Wacky,
Mhm.
before your scary mom calls a wambulance. I just
Yeah.
thought that was all well spelled out
Yeah,
to make it very clear that this is that little baby voice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
exactly. And it also made me think back to, because me and my friends did things like this all the time when we were like that, like junior high age, I guess. And we did a lot of really gross things. Like we would touch gross things. Like the shopping cart full of
Oh, yeah.
old stuff.
Old food.
Yeah, like stuff that when you're like an adult, you're like, ew, get that away from me. Like, I don't want to touch that. Whenever you're that age, you're not quite aware of how disgusting it is yet.
Yeah.
So you're just like all up in it, like all up in the shopping cart, like, you know?
Yeah. Rolling in a rusty shopping cart,
Yeah.
just asking for tetanus.
Right.
Which
totally.
actually, like, despite him actually being kind of an idiot, like that's not how you get tetanus, but you absolutely could get tetanus in this place.
Yeah.
From, if not the food, then the rusty shopping cart, from anything else. So
Totally.
yeah. So he wasn't entirely wrong.
Mm-mm.
Kids are dumb.
Kids are. Kids, they don't have all the limitations in their minds
Yeah.
as adults do. And I feel like that really comes through well in this story.
It really does. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just the fact that they're in a storm drainage tunnel in the first place.
Yeah.
That's a very kid thing to do.
Right.
No adult would just go wandering into a storm drain.
That's true. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, just the setting alone is enough.
Right. I mean, I definitely wandered into my fair share of storm drains when I was little.
When you were a kid.
Right.
Yeah. As an adult, how many storm drains have you wandered into?
I don't know. If I have, it was an accident.
Okay.
Yeah. But I really liked this. It was very reminiscent of my own coming of age.
Yes.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned, it certainly gave me It vibes.
Yes.
And that's, I mean that as high praise, Richie, because the characterization of your kids comes across very similarly. That's a very cool losers club you have here. So I really like these characters.
Yeah.
And I could see how this could eventually take a dark turn
Mhm.
if you wanted to do something other than just leave this as a standalone story.
Mhm.
I could see that this could go some crazy places.
It definitely could.
Yeah, but it's a lovely tale as it is.
Yeah, as it is. Either way, wherever it goes in the future, we like where it is now.
Yes.
I was reading Nathaniel's comment
Mhm.
on the story where he was like, we need to do more like
Yeah.
pleasant stuff like this. And I felt a pang of guilt. I was like,
because
wow.
you submitted your story on the heels of that and just like,
yes.
no.
But I submitted my story before I even read that comment. And then after I read it, I was like, what have I done?
Only dark and sadistic stories on this podcast.
Exactly. That has to be twisted.
Yeah.
But anyway, so sorry about that.
But yes, it's a nice change of pace because we do seem to lean heavily towards the
sadistic.
I was going to say horrors, but yes, also sadistic.
Let's be real.
Yeah, we have some sadists.
We have some sadists on board.
At least as characters
right.
that we get regularly
no, of
submitted
course,
to us.
not writers.
That we know of.
No. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Are you a sadist?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
Me? No.
Okay.
No.
But yes, lovely story, Richie.
Yes, very lovely.
And very well executed all around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. Who's next?
Next up, we have got Ouroboros by Chillaxing Yak.
And this is the conclusion to our cryptids tale.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So there's a lot here.
There is a lot.
This is dense.
It's very dense. I almost got the feeling that Yak was ready to be done with this.
Yeah, I did
and
too.
was trying to like pack it all into this last episode.
Yeah.
It was still very effective.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I got the feeling that Chillaxing Yak is like, I've been doing this is I think number 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
So after 7 weeks, basically 2 months of writing this is our conclusion that we get.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do like the way that you conclude this. It's a compelling conclusion. What do you think?
There were a few loose ends, I feel, that I was really unsure about or what to think about. And unless I'm missing something, I feel like we never find out what happened to the cute cryptids.
As far as their ultimate fate, I also don't know.
Yeah, because they ran away, but it's like because they were angry, or they were like siding with the one that Kirsten birthed.
Yeah, which you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
I'm gonna say Kirsten deserved to get torn apart by that animal.
I almost wanted to. Okay, we're gonna go off in all kinds of directions, but the one that she carried was Thaldrak, but that Moss is the one that teleported them out. So we get introduced to Moss, Marin, and Lumen, and Thaldrak, all in this concluding entry.
No,
we had Thaldrak before.
No, not Thaldrak.
We had Moss, Marin, and Lumen.
Yes.
Are those the cute ones that we had before?
Yeah.
I never remembered their names.
Yeah, that's them.
Okay. Yeah, I highlighted it and I was like, I feel like there's some significance to these names that I should be drawing on. It's just been long enough that I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
But okay, that makes sense.
It's the original very cute animals.
Which I don't know that it doesn't really matter what they looked like at the time, just that they were one of the cute skinwalkers.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, Moss, with that strange awareness in his eyes, seemed to watch everything with growing rage. Okay, but what was Moss enraged about? Because Rachel was trying to take care of them after Kirsten got torn apart. So what was it that Moss was enraged about? Their captivity?
I'm assuming the captivity, and that they have an awareness greater than what their animalistic counterpart may have, and so they maybe have a higher level of sentience than just a standard animal. So they have the ability to get enraged by something like that,
right? But then it's like he was going to finish what Thaldrak had started. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm like Thaldrak.
It seems like maybe you could call it a coup. Thaldrak is setting this up as basically a prison break, and Moss is just finishing everything. Basically, remove the leadership, Kirsten, and Moss took the rest and teleported them away into the wild, which I guess could be the explanation for how there are cryptids in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like how we get that giant sea monster that we encounter in the first entry. Could be time has passed since this happened.
Right.
And so that's the explanation for them encountering them in the wild.
Maybe so.
Yeah, so in general, Yak, I think that writers can suffer from two different syndromes whenever you approach the end of a story, especially one that's been going on for some time. And instinct number one is to get it done. Just get it done, put a bow on it, and be done with it, which I believe is kind of what happened here. The other syndrome, I think, is fear to complete it in the first place. It just, you never put any kind of period on it. You're afraid to approach the end, and so you just never do.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think yours is the better inclination. Just get it done.
For sure.
Because I actually see at least two other stories inside of this one that I would like to see expanded on. The scene with the breakout of the other cryptids, I feel like needs to be its own story. There's a lot of information in there that I want more of. I want to see more of that. Yes,
there were a lot of things that could definitely use more detail, but I do understand your desire to just like be done with it.
Yeah, I completely understand just wanting to get it done. And if for no other reason, if you were ever to revisit this and want to polish it up, I think that this entry that you have here, like I said, could be 3 different chapters.
Yes.
Like you've got the encounter with Rook and Egan, the concluding encounter that we get with them, I felt was lacking in detail, where I really wanted detail.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's very true, because I kind of had the same feeling, because I feel like at this point, Egan would come with some type of rage, that there would be some type of confrontation. But at that time, he already had like become some weak version of his Wendigo self, you know?
Yeah.
It was kind of anticlimactic.
It was, which honestly, if anticlimax is what you were going for,
then you nailed it.
You did nail it, and you can still do anticlimax with greater detail to the significance of why it may be anticlimactic. Give us some context clues to set us up that this might not pay off in the way that the reader may expect, but to just hit us with it and then be done with it, I thought was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, to have a resolution to the overall story is just nice to have anyways. But like I said, I think that you can certainly expand on a lot of what you give us here. And again, the whole scene with Kirsten and the other cryptids, I feel like it needs its own story. I feel like that may have been the one thing that just simply detracted from the detail that we may have been missing in the overall conclusion.
Yeah, I agree, because also Kirsten has been an important character in this story, and then suddenly it's just like, oh yeah, she had the baby Thaldrak or whatever, and she had the baby, and then it like tore her apart. I just feel like there wasn't enough like build up, not enough like detail there. So yeah, I mean, it's like a really, really good story, and yes, I would like to see it worked out a little bit more.
Yeah, just polish it up a little bit. And just another very quick thing, the use of the prompt was Kirsten's blood dripping onto the floor after being impaled by by Thaldrak's horns.
Right.
Very effectively done. Yeah. And considering we have the audio prompt, I was like, oh, that works.
Yeah.
That's very effective.
Yep, definitely. I loved the part about how Egan had to consume himself.
Yes.
So
which is the title.
Yak did answer the question that I had last time, which was, what type of hunger is this? Is it hunger to kill? Is it bloodthirst? Or is it hunger for actually just like to fill your stomach? Yeah. And we get a satisfying conclusion to that. And if we were privy to the word
Ouroboros,
Yeah, Ouroboros,
Ouroboros,
or however you want to pronounce it. Yeah.
then that could also clue us in. That could be set up for the ultimate fate of Egan.
Yeah. And I feel like based on that being the title, some more detail should have been given to that part. I just mean putting more emphasis on the Egan consuming himself, putting more emphasis on that, making it like a bigger, more standout theme in the story.
Yeah.
As it is the title.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that just kind of goes back to what we were saying, just kind of lacking that detail there, right? Right at the ultimate conclusion.
Right.
But lastly, we have another time jump here. A Navajo elder who became like an uncle to me after my first visit to the reservation told me about the Wendigo curse years ago. I feel like that's another story.
Yeah, totally. Prequel.
Yeah. So and we've been all over the timeline already, so I don't even know if it's necessarily a prequel. It could just be another chapter. Clue us into the information as we need it. This is something that Rook knew going into the story as far as his timeline, but for us as the reader, this could be something you drop us in like a flashback story, which we've done plenty of those already. So
yeah,
I think that was also its own potential chapter or story. So
definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good stuff in here.
There really is.
It's a gold mine of content.
Yeah. So I almost want to say that this could be a rubric for how to really complete this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is concluded, but I don't feel like it's quite complete just yet.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if Rook is a white guy, he reminds me a lot of one of my exes.
Oh?
Yeah. Because he was all about them reservations and those like tribal ceremonies, things like that.
Oh, also, on a parting note with this story, if you want some inspiration, a book that we recently read for our horror book club that we're a part of, The Only Good Indians, is a great read, and it's all Native American. I really actually enjoyed that more than I was expecting, and it's very unsettling. So as a horror story, it really worked on me.
That sounds awesome.
And I'm killing myself. I can't remember the author. Oh, Stephen Graham.
Ooh.
Yeah, go check that one out. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham. So if you want some inspiration or potential writing styles that you may lean on, if you want to get deeper into the native culture, then that comes highly recommended from me. So
yeah,
check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Chillaxing Yak.
Thank you, Chillaxing Yak. This has been a fascinating journey.
It really has.
With the cryptids.
And thank you for bringing all these entries to us. It's been a great ride.
I've loved it.
Yes, I have too.
All right. So we are now moving on to the Prismatics 19 with The Order. I would just like to say, first of all, that I laughed several times throughout the story at different turns of phrase that were so funny. First one being the styrofoam cups of coffee were called steamy goblets.
Yes.
I love that. That was hilarious.
So dramatic.
Yes.
For styrofoam cups. Yeah.
Yes. Steamy goblets. To refer to a styrofoam cup as a goblet is hilarious. I love that.
I didn't know if this was meant to be a callback to the other stories. Obviously, this isn't related in any way to the other stories, but the single line, after all, the lawn must be looked after.
Right.
I was just thinking, is like, after all, his wife was dead.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it made me think
And then,
of.
again, after all, the lawn must be looked after.
If that's what you were going for, well done. That worked perfectly.
Yep. And I was just confused at first. Like, who are these guys? What's going on? I'm still confused. I still don't totally get it.
I don't know that it's meant to be got.
Yeah, I kind of came to that conclusion.
So I love just the introduction to what this actually is. Thank you all for coming. And to our newcomers, I say welcome. This meeting of the Order of Revolutionary Uncles is now adjourned. Dan, will you be in charge of keeping minutes?
Yeah.
Or Dan, you will be in charge. Anyways, which just little point, adjourned, I feel like that's probably wrong.
No, it is. And there was a conversation about it.
Oh, there was?
Yeah,
oh, God.
on the Reddit.
Yeah.
Because I read that and I was like, wait a second.
They're
do I
leaving.
not know the meaning of adjourned? I was like, no, that means it's over, right? And I looked it up and I was like, yes, it does mean that. But yeah, they realized that and discussed it in the chat.
Okay.
Mhm.
So was it?
So it should be the meeting is in session or the
Okay.
meeting is
I was like, come
commenced.
to order, or
Yeah,
okay.
or something like that.
But yeah, I love the formality of that introduction and everything. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just how seriously they take this order of revolutionary uncles. Somebody's keeping minutes
Right.
of these conversations because clearly what they're saying is very important.
Right. Oh, and I love the description. He began to speak, mustache bristling ever so slightly at each pass of air through his lips. That made that made him seem adorable.
Yeah, he's got a big old bushy walrus mustache.
I was like a walrusman.
Walrusman.
And I was like also imagining. I just feel like it was very well described. Like I was imagining, like, good to go, Phil. I can't do a Wisconsin. The only thing I can say in a Wisconsin accent is the word Wisconsin, which I'm sure is wrong. But good to go, Phil. I don't know. How would you say that? How does that sound?
In Wisconsin? I don't know.
Yeah, in Wisconsin. In a sausagey Wisconsin accent.
That description is great.
It is. It's hilarious.
Sausagey.
It's hilarious, and that's exactly how it sounds to me, too.
Sausagey?
The Wisconsin accent, yeah.
Wisconsin sounds sausagey?
Yeah, sausagey. Sausagey.
Sausagey, yeah.
Sausagey.
I was thinking Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't...
Ooh, that's a little bit more like, ooh.
Well, there you go. Again, such compelling audio.
Yeah, so I just love the like basicness of Phil. The damn walnut tree in my backyard has begun to shed lately.
Yeah.
The damn walnut tree.
Yeah, the whole spiel about the walnut tree and the dog just is like, can't help but, eating it.
Yeah, and it's almost like this very like, what's the word? Not traditional, but when something ceremonial. It's like this very ceremonial. Everybody is like, a round of you do goes around the room.
Oh yeah, it feels
you do.
Yeah, and somebody did leave a comment. It reminded them of Hot Fuzz. Yeah, for the greater good. Just you've seen Hot Fuzz, right?
No, but I read the comments.
Oh no, Rachel, we have to watch Hot Fuzz.
Oh no,
what are you doing this weekend? We gotta watch Hot Fuzz.
Watching Hot Fuzz.
Hell yeah, we are.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, the whole the seriousness that all of these characters are putting into this meeting is just completely uncalled for.
Yeah. Well, it's important to them.
It is. It is important to them.
Going.
But there's just so many good descriptions. There was ritual to it, purpose that was infused within each round of whining that these grown men took part in.
Yeah.
There's just, it's lovely.
Yeah, and then whenever they're talking about poisoning the water supply.
Yeah. We just out of the blue.
Yeah.
We're going to poison the water with arsenic.
Right.
For the football team. So,
and hopefully only a few deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I thought that was maybe just exaggeration to display how obsessed they are with sports, like
so hyperbole.
Sports. Yes.
Okay.
Because those types of people are like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To kick some bulldog ass.
Yeah. Yeah. And then immediately following this discussion of poisoning the water supply with arsenic, then we're going to do a quick seminar on the importance of laundry duties. And that includes methods to screw it up and how to explain it to the missus and the right acting techniques for when she takes the task away from you.
Right. To be like, no, please. I'll
don't.
Try.
I'll do better. I promise.
Next time, please.
No.
Yeah. No, stop, please. And also, I liked the end where it's like, you got to name your nieces and nephews, oldest to youngest. Each man did so, the jumble of names coming across like the whisperings of a malevolent ancient being.
It's like this cult of uncles.
It's really funny.
This was a delightful read, and I just kept chuckling to myself. And I will leave you with one reference that I have, and it's another podcast. If you're familiar with The Adventure Zone, I know you're not, Rachel. The Adventure Zone is an actual play podcast with three brothers and their dad playing D&D. And during one of their live shows, they do a different game sometimes called Dadlands, and they're just playing dads in a land where there are no moms or kids or anything. It's just dads.
Uh-huh.
It is hilarious.
Wow.
It is so funny.
That sounds funny, actually.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to it and just listen to it. It's a live event, so there's a whole audience to it, and the drama behind it is amazing. Like there's a giant plasma TV in the lands, and there's the sofa peaks on the other side of it.
Sofa peaks.
And yeah, there's like grill dads, car dads,
wow.
sport dads. So
that sounds hilarious.
Yeah. So I'll post that comment in the Reddit in case you're curious about what's entailed in that. But it reminded me heavily of the Adventure Zone's Dadlands. So
I would like to check that out. Yeah, this was a really entertaining read for sure.
it really, really was.
Yeah.
Thank you, the Prismatics 19.
Thank you.
And next we have Successful Read 6361 with The Meeting.
I thought that this was a great creative description of a very mundane thing, which was going to a meeting. And there were some things in here that made me laugh. One of them was a typo.
Wait, where?
The moths of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but let me just tell you, when I first started reading this and I got to that part, I was like, I stopped there and I was just like, what? Her parents named the children after moths? What? There are moths of the year? And I didn't know about this?
And you went down a rabbit hole that doesn't exist,
and
didn't you?
I did, because I've been obsessed with moths for as long as I can remember. And I was like, if there were moths of the year, I would know about this. I would have a calendar.
You're furious with yourself for not catching this sooner. Yeah.
Yes. But then I was like, oh, months of the year.
Months of the year, yeah.
But I really enjoyed that typo. That was fantastic. I also know a girl named Lemon, but that's not her real name. That's just her nickname. She's a bitch.
Oh?
She's the opposite of this Lemon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know Liz Lemon from 30 Rock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this girl, oh my God. Ugh. Pray that you never cross paths with her.
Okay.
Yeah. But I thought that's where it was going at first, because it was like, ew, I sat beside Lemon. But then it turns out Lemon is just a toothache of a girl. Too sweet.
That is a great description.
That was a great description.
I read that and I was like, how... If that's a turn of phrase that exists in the world, I am so glad to now know it.
Yeah,
because
it's great.
That's delightful.
A toothache of a girl. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I adored that line whenever I got there. I was like, what a perfect description for somebody who's just overly sweet.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we all know a toothache or two.
Yeah.
I can't think of any right now, but
I'm sure I know some.
I'm sure I know or have known some. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I really liked the way that you were able to take this basic thing and make it into a whole short story.
Yeah, and really
lots of detail.
You really do capture the mundanity of it all.
Right. Ooh.
And also just the internality of our point of view character is very clear. And I think that because you seem very comfortable in like the poetic nature of writing, that internality comes a little bit more naturally to you than it might others. I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, we really do get to see inside of our character's head here, which am I just not remembering her name? April. You're right. But yeah, so we really do clearly get in April's head here.
Yeah. And honestly, this kind of like gave me it kind of made me do a lot of self-reflection. This story did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because I started asking myself, am I a toothache of a girl? No, okay, no. I don't
for
think
being
I am.
too sweet, no.
No. Okay, no, not for that. But because I'm like, at the end, it's like describing her as like very positive, very optimistic. And I am, to the point that sometimes people get annoyed. But then other times I'm like a bitch.
Okay. So that would make you not a toothache.
Right. But sometimes I was like, is that it? And honestly, it made me think about the kind of characterization, which is really common in art forms, entertainment, cinema, books, about that it's like cool to kind of like have an attitude, and kind of be like, oh, I'm so over this or something like that.
Okay.
And to kind of be like, what's the word? Not pessimistic, but cynical.
Cynical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, people who are just overly positive are just annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I am that person. I am often that person. Not when I lose my mind, but
Yeah.
often I'm that person.
I was going to say not to a fault, but
No.
generally, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it made me do some self-reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a story that really lends to that.
Yeah. It makes you want to place yourself within the story and be like, which character do I identify with?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're just kind of exploring these different types of people. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's just these three.
Right.
Our point of view character, April.
And the boss.
Lemon and the boss. Yeah.
But I think because the setting is so like basic and mundane, then we can all like, I think it's natural to automatically like put yourself in the story and be like, who am I in this story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because anybody who's sat in a meeting like this or even arrived late to a meeting, that I really related to that. Like opening the door and just the mouthing, sorry. Yeah. Just like, oh, that you really nailed that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And just the awkward nature of coming into an appointment or a meeting late.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that just happened to me on what was it? Tuesday. But funnily enough, I was the one hosting the meeting.
Oh, lovely.
And the meeting attendants were all waiting for me to arrive.
Just waiting outside.
Well, it was a Zoom meeting. From my office. But the meeting attendants, including my boss, were all waiting for me to arrive and start the meeting.
How long were they waiting?
About 5 minutes.
That's not terrible.
No.
I've waited for as many as 45 minutes for a Zoom meeting before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Well, we thought that they could run late. They warned us like I could very likely be running late, but and so we waited. So.
That's still fucked up.
It's fine.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It's just work. I'm getting paid for those minutes anyways.
Oh, okay, well, cool. Awesome. Oh, well, mine was at lunchtime, so people were more pissed off.
Yeah, that's unforgivable.
Yeah.
Do not keep us from lunch.
I don't even forgive myself, so. But anyway, yes, I enjoyed this in its simplicity and in its ability to make me ponder.
Excellent. Thank you, Successful Read.
Thank you so much. And I think that it is now time to go on to Twisted by Aggressive Maze 1471. So, what do you think about this?
I loved this.
Same.
Yeah. So I love that this is just dripping.
Yes. With innuendo.
Yes.
Oh.
Because the prompt is
see
a drip.
what you did there.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, not as good as Twisted here.
No,
this was, the whole time I'm reading it, I'm just like sitting here grinning like, this is new.
Yeah.
We haven't had this yet.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, okay, we have somebody really going out on a limb here.
Yes. And I love the courage because all these horror stories and you're like, you know what? You talk about twisted stories. Here's my twisted story. Oh, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Delightful.
Yes, it was so delightful. And it was hilarious at the end. It was like, the voice rings out, left foot, blue. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
We're almost dancing now. Not the waltz nor the tango. A revolutionary mix of both. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's like every sentence is trying to evoke this sexuality.
Yeah.
And this her skin tingles my follicles moving into the next position. Like that's sentence number like, 2 of the whole work.
Hey.
Yeah, I read that. I was like, saucy. Yeah, okay, keep going.
I like it when it's like we bracket together with every new instruction given. But at that moment, I was like, well, actually, I just glossed over that.
Yeah,
because I was so in the zone of what was happening. That I didn't even think about, wait, what do you mean every instruction?
Yeah, instruction. Wait, what? Yeah. And taken in the...
It's like maybe they're reading Kama Sutra.
Yeah. I mean, you could read into that however you want, but it still doesn't detract from the overall innuendo, I guess.
Right.
But so this actually reminded me of an assignment that I had in my creative writing poetry class that I took. And it was I think it's like our second or third assignment, and it was write a story
Mhm.
or write a poem about sex using only nouns that you would use when you wash your car, and verbs can only be sexual.
That sounds hilarious.
It was hilarious. It was
That
amazing.
really funny.
But yeah, some of the things that came out of that class were it was a scream. The whole thing was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But that took me right
That's so
back.
funny. I like it on the last paragraph where it's like, it's in the air now. We can feel it in our bones. The end is near. It's like literally your bones are like hurting because you're all like twisted around.
Yeah.
We can feel it in our bones. We're at our limit now.
Yeah, a delightful subversion of our expectations here.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was so good.
I really enjoyed that, and bravo. Bravo, Aggressive Maze.
Bravissimo.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And
all that jazz.
I'm gonna rouge my knees and lie my knickers down. Da-dee-dee-dee-dee. And all that jazz. Okay, all right. Who's next?
Next up, we have Nicked You with Untitled.
But this is a chapter.
Yes.
In our Platinum Peak saga.
Tis.
Yeah.
Quite.
Yeah. It was actually kind of fun to run across the name Kai, because this didn't exactly strike me from the start that it would slot in that world of yours, Nick. So, what did you think of this?
I enjoyed this. Interestingly, the beginning of it reminded me of Mio Mersoi's story.
In what way?
The hiding out, the revolution.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The hiding out in a specific space, waiting for the enemy to pass by or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it definitely went in a different direction. At the end, whenever, who was it that was kicking ass? Kai.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes, I really liked that action sequence. It was really fun to read. I like how it was like Kai identified the likely strongest in the room and immediately rushed to him. It's like to be that perceptive that you would immediately identify that. And also the fact that the woman who was trying to protect the girl, Kai just casually ripped out her throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the action sequence isn't just action for the sake of action. It's doing a lot to characterize Kai and his cohorts here, which we do get a new character, Ilan. We certainly learn a lot about how they're, like, the lengths they're willing to go. And this woman was strictly putting herself between Kai and this girl because she thought she was in danger, that the girl would be in danger.
Right.
And she didn't know that they were trying to capture her.
Yeah.
But even despite all that, nope, you dead.
Yep.
Gonna just rip out your throat real quick. Okay.
And that kind of actually takes me back to the point that I had several weeks ago. Because how many is this in a series?
This is 6. This is our 6th entry.
Yeah, so at one of the earlier entries, maybe even the first one, where I was like, okay, it seems like the morals of, or the values of this society are different than our own.
Yeah.
And that's what this made me think of, because this lady was trying to be selfless and protect this girl. And she was rewarded by having her throat ripped out.
Yeah, just the casual way they approach murder. Yeah.
Yeah, and that this isn't deserving of being rewarded, trying to selflessly protect somebody.
Yeah. So I wonder if we will revisit that idea and if any sort of justice would come from something like this, or if it's just continuously we just get more and more, we reinforce this behavior.
Yeah, or maybe this is justice.
And I think that's what he's what we're setting up here is that this is the Platinum Peak Saga is out there dealing out justice after a fashion. So, but how could you classify what they did, what Kai specifically did to this innocent woman as justice?
Because if their value system is different than ours, then she wasn't innocent. She was stupid by putting herself there. Maybe they value self-preservation over selflessness.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, fair.
So maybe she deserved that for being ignorant.
So I guess one bit of information that we're still lacking from this series is what is in fact their value system. We're getting clues that it's different and that they're very casual towards killing people.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Platinum Peak's role in handing out justice?
Yeah.
And how is that role viewed by those it is dealt on?
Right.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know.
I would also be curious to know.
Yeah.
What do they value?
And I guess just why are they doing this in general?
Right.
Like what's their motive?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're immortal.
Yeah.
And so they clearly have some stake or interest in mortal behavior and lives.
But why?
Why?
Right. That's a good question.
Yeah. You're literally beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
I think physically and metaphysically.
Yes. What in the hell is happening?
Yeah, just be curious. And I do, just in general, I don't think that that's something that you necessarily must address all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of like the way that you're slowly handing out information to us.
Yeah.
Like we're getting little tidbits here and there.
I do. I like that too.
While just maintaining this order, heavy air quotes, that we have in this world. So we are getting little context clues here and there. But I guess, yeah, that's my main question is what's their motive? Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
And what is it that they actually value?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, it's a great story. I'm always surprised whenever a gun pops up. It seems so out of place for this setting.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't the first time
That's true.
a gun has shown up in these stories.
Yeah.
So every time it has, it's always left me a little like
startled.
Yeah, like, whoa, gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another note here about cultivation.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like it gets proper noun status here almost. It's not capitalized, but the way that it's used in this context almost comes across like semi-reverential.
Okay.
As your senior brother, I will tell you one of the most important truths of cultivation.
Mm-hmm.
So cultivation seems like...
Where is that?
That's up above. So we get cultivation twice in here, and that's up near... It's in the dialogue,
I see. Yeah.
So it feels like a tenant.
Yeah. Could be. Maybe it's one of the pillars of their society.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was just recency bias from my reading The Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, of which cultivation literally is a proper noun. And so I saw that, and then I saw the way that it was used, and I immediately just started thinking like, oh, maybe we're drawing on some sort of parallel from that.
Maybe so.
But no, I really liked this entry, Nick, to you, and it's continuing to build on what we suspect. And I like that we're getting new characters even still with Ilyn.
Yes.
And we also learn that Kai wanted to take, not Swin. What's her name? What's her name?
Wait, we don't even have her name here. She's the pretty thing.
Arquin.
Arquin, yes.
Yeah, our point of view character in the other stories in the town.
Yes. And actually, I did find that interesting too, because I had not previously seen any type of preference for beauty in these stories.
True. Yeah.
And so I found that definitely caught my attention, where it was like, it was not his preferred pick. This one was far uglier. It's like, oh, okay. So you do have like some mortal preferences.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't strike me as something that an immortal being would necessarily care too much about.
Right.
But I suppose we do know that they weren't always immortal. So they do come from mortals. So I guess they're carrying some of this baggage, I guess, on into their immortal lives beyond that. So
yeah.
No, it is very interesting. And we kind of get a foil to Arquin here with Ilyn. And I'll be curious to see if we have any interaction between those two, as they both what was it, prefer air, or not prefer, their preferred element. That's what it is. Is
their
air.
Preferred pronoun.
Yeah. But they seem to approach it differently. So
yeah.
Very interesting.
Yes, very.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. To you.
Thank you, Nick. To you. That was fascinating.
And next we have Ray, Betrayed by Walker by Faith.
So, what'd you think about this one?
I really like this.
Uh-huh.
This feels like a middle chapter, like something that falls between two major events or something like
Yeah.
that. And really, these are the parts of stories that will sell me on a story. And Walker by Faith, I think you're doing a great job selling me on Ray's story here. I really like all of the insight that we're getting into Max now that we know who Max is, because the last point of view story that we had from Max was the first one. And so I like that we're back in her point of view and getting filled in all of the details for all of the events that have happened up until this point.
Yes. I also really enjoyed the glimpse into Max's thought process. So, okay, this actually makes me empathize more with her character.
It does. And
Yeah.
I think that's a great complication to give your antagonist.
Definitely. Because
Yeah.
before I'm just like, what a crazy bitch.
Yeah.
But now I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of starting to feel for her a little bit. I'm kind of starting to see, well, she's clearly crazy, but what's going on in her head? She's not just this like crazy robot person.
Yeah.
She has these feelings, you know?
Yeah.
I really like that.
We're given a chance to empathize
Exactly.
with Max, even if we can't agree with how she handles the situation.
Yes.
We get to walk in her shoes for just a moment, and we get the underlying circumstances for all of this. And that is, Ray agreed to be a surrogate.
Yeah, I did not know.
No, we didn't know that until now.
We didn't know that before.
No.
Yeah.
And so to learn that information is very important. And it answers a lot of questions that we've had up until this point, like why would Ray want to record this conversation?
Yeah.
Before going inside.
And also, why did Max choose Ray?
Right.
Well, it turns out Ray had already, been chosen and agreed to do it. So it wasn't as random as it seemed at first.
Yeah. So it's really complicating the story.
Yes. I really like where it says Ray offered to bear their child for them. Max had bravely believed her. I like that description of bravely believing somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, because it does take a bit of faith.
Yeah.
In the other person to
take them at their word.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that. It's like putting into words. It's like verbalizing, articulating what it is really to believe someone when they say they'll do something.
Yeah. And on the flip side, we get more about Sam as well on this. And so it comes down to, he seems kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Kind of worthless.
Right.
So there's a leak in the basement. The oven rack handle is still broken, so she can't hang her cute little Martha Stewart towels off of it. So she wants this idyllic life.
Yes.
And Sam and Ray both have officially come in her way of this idyllic life.
Yeah, Sam, because before we see Sam as like this victim, but now it's like Sam is actually kind of lame.
Yeah. That does not excuse what Max has done.
Are you sure? Doesn't it though, Matt?
Injecting a woman with a sedative and locking her in your basement.
Right.
No.
Well,
that does not forgive that.
I mean,
it makes us view Ray in a very different light.
Yes.
Because we thought she was strictly the victim up until this point, but she has victimized Max.
Right.
In her own way. Like, it's not as serious as what Max has done to Ray.
Yeah.
As far as her own physical safety is not in jeopardy.
Right. Okay, that's true. It's a bit extreme, but it does make us view all the characters differently. It's a reversal. Suddenly, the bad guy, the predator, seems a little bit more like a victim, and the victims seem a little bit more like bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I love that we're complicating all of these characters.
Yeah.
It makes them feel very real people.
It does. Oh, well, I don't know that I know anybody who would go to that length that Max is going to.
No, but I don't know anybody like that would do that either. But I also don't know anybody who's been put in that situation.
True.
So this is a very unique situation that I feel like any normal person might behave rather erratically.
True.
Having the rug pulled out from under them this way.
Especially when they're that desperate to have a child.
Yes.
Yes. And I do know people who have been that desperate to have a child. I'm looking at you.
Lies.
Just
Lies.
joking.
You speak lies.
That log had a child.
That log had a child.
And I was like, that log had a child.
Who is that? What is it?
That's Yoda on bad lip reading.
Right.
Seagulls. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's amazing.
Yeah, bad lip reading.
Stop it now.
Yeah, that's a classic.
It brought me through some dark times, to be honest.
Timeless video.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to know, Walker, did you intentionally set out to do this like role reversal, or did that just happen like automatically? I would like to know.
I would too, especially from the story that we got last week. Did you have this in mind?
Yeah.
Whenever you were writing about Ray in the basement, did you know that this was coming? Or based off of the questions that we asked after that story last week, did that give you what you needed to complicate Max here and tie up some of those loose ends? Because it worked perfectly. Especially, I was curious how you were going to write your way out of why Ray was recording the conversation.
Yes.
And I think this is a very elegant solution to that. So I'd be curious to know if that was... Well, no, that would go back even to the spirit prompt when Ray was incorporeally floating through a police station listening in on their interrogation.
Yes.
So I'd be curious if you knew then that this is where it was going. If so, very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah.
And well planned.
Yes, very much, if it was planned.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Walker. That was an excellent installment.
Yes, very much so. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I think now we are moving on to Dark Times by Steve Living Room.
Dark times, indeed.
Dark times, indeed.
Feels pretty close to home.
It hits a little close to home.
Yeah.
A little bit too real.
It's that time of year, isn't it? That time of 4 years, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could say 2 years, but oh, good grief.
Yeah. 2?
Well, yeah, because you have congressional elections.
Oh, right.
Senate elections. So, yeah, every 2 years you have a cycle of elections.
I didn't know that, but cool. Good to know.
So that tells me how you vote.
I thought this whole thing only happened every 4 years, so
Congressional elections?
I'm going to do better in the future.
Okay, I'll remind you in the future.
Thank you.
I'll take blame for that. That's on me.
Yes, it kind of is, actually.
No, it's not.
We all know that I'm not good at keeping up with things.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. We do know that.
I hold you a little bit responsible. And the rest of the responsibility goes to Kim.
I'll tell her. I'll be sure to let her know.
Tell her.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, this is scary. This is the reality we're living in.
Yes.
And
it's I don't know what to add to this, Steve. This is just kind of sounds like you're airing your thoughts. It's a tough time. We're all kind of there.
Yeah, it's a commentary on what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And I really I don't like it, but it's well said at the end where you say, why is the light so weak? Chaos may reign, darker times may come. Why is the light so weak? I was asking myself that just today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, Steve, you got me thinking, why is the light so weak? And I highlighted that, and I'll just read you my comment. I would argue it was never bright. We are taught that it is a beacon only to find out it is a candle floating at the bottom of a well everyone needs to draw water from.
Whoa, damn.
That was off the cuff, baby.
That is poetic as hell. That's beautiful.
Thank you. And that's what that
and it was inspired.
It was entirely inspired by Steve.
By Steve.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? I feel, Steve, that we may have similar, stances on these issues.
Possibly.
From what I've read. From this.
I refuse to get into politics.
No.
Even if we don't share it, like this is that everybody can relate to this right now. Everybody can, regardless of whatever side you may land on. This is such an American thing right now. And every 4 years, every 2 years, every 4 years, it stresses me out.
America, America, God shed His grace on me from brotherhood to
Meow,
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 meow.
from sea to shining sea. Y'all, I don't really do vibrato like this. I'm just joking.
Also, if we ever start singing and we can't think of the lyrics, we just start meowing.
I think they already noticed that.
No, they probably noticed that it was meows, but maybe not why we meow.
Yeah. But sometimes
It's because
it's
we don't
just
remember the words.
But sometimes it's just because it sounds good.
Also, yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a recording of the entire
Game of Thrones.
theme. Yeah, the Game of Thrones intro song.
Meow, 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 meow.
We literally recorded every part of that song in meows,
Yep.
and it was so fun.
Pretty epic.
Also, that was really difficult to do that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we had one guy who's just in the meow.
Oh yeah. That was
Meow.
that was beep.
Yep. Boop. Meow.
Yes. Meow, 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 meow.
Meow, 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 meow.
That was my part.
Meow, 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 meow.
Meow, 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 meow,
Meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow. Maybe I'll post a link to Game of Meows.
That was so good.
Yeah. That was many years ago.
That was meowny years ago.
Meow me years ago.
Meow me years ago.
I'm sorry, Steve. We're really getting off topic here, but it's because it's hard to talk about these things.
It is for Matt.
It really is. I really struggle speaking my mind about politics and anything that could be construed as controversial. I just think it's my opinion, and nobody else needs that.
I can personally testify to that, as you did kick me out of your house one time.
I did.
When someone else, who I will not name, said something about politics.
No, it wasn't politics. And that was a really, really bad time.
Right. Well,
yeah, that was religion, which I have a equally terrible relationship with speaking about it openly.
I just want to say that I was being attacked.
Literally by one of us.
Yes.
Not me, but somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Both figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Steve, I don't know how much of what we've been talking about is actually going to make it into the episode, but I'm so sorry. It's just.
We apologize.
But it's tough to talk about these things, especially this time of year. But I do want you to know that was very inspirational for myself, especially the way you concluded it. Mm-hmm. Chaos may reign, darker times may come. Why is the light so weak? I love that you leave us on a question. Mm-hmm. You give us things to think about, and you offer up a question. It's good because there is a lot of uncertainty right now, so it's all uncertain. Yeah. Nobody knows. It really is. And thank you so much. Yes. I feel like I did get a lot out of that. Yes. From what you had to say. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. That was lovely. It really was. Okay. And next we have Ace of Sword with Liquidity. I thought it was Liquidity. I suppose it could be that too. Okay. All right. So, Ace of Sword gave us exactly what we asked for. And delivered. In spades. In aces. In aces. An ace of spades. Okay. So, this was, again, super fun. It's so much fun. And I think it's all a testament to how wonderful a character Opal is. I agree. And what I really liked about this was throughout the whole story, we were thinking that it's just going to be a continuation of like the fun, farcical, thing. But then at the end, it kind of takes a turn. It does. Gets a little serious there. And what a great way to do it. Yes, totally. Have Opal call out a friend, catching them in a potential lie. Right. We don't know that it's a lie, but it's very heavily implied. Totally. But also, we don't know that that's really her friend. Right. Yeah. Just further making me think that Opal is genuinely a badass. Yes. And very, very independent, very diligent person. Perhaps. Very observant. Do we know if Opal is a witch?
Well, I didn't know that until the end whenever it said, didn't it say Sybil was also a witch or something like that?
I think that
And
may
I
be
was
our
like,
first clue.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, Opal's a witch. So maybe that's actually why the original owner, what was his name?
Bram.
Maybe that's why Bram gave it to Opal, because he knew something about her that maybe she herself didn't know. Or maybe Opal did know.
I'm going to say she did, just because she has a relationship with Sybil, whether this is in fact Sybil or not, who we know Sybil is a witch.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going to say that Opal knows.
Mm-hmm.
And also just because of how capable she is and how well she's handling this cursed artifact shop, I feel like she's a very capable witch.
It seems like she's kind of like knows the scene, the witch scene, the magic scene. She seems pretty familiar with it.
Yes. And just her description here in this paragraph, or her dialogue, don't take it personally, but currently I can't even be sure that you're actually Sybil Barkridge, rather.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ignorant. I can spot a lot of tricks, but I'm not infallible either. These things are dangerous. And so that just clues us into, she's not overly confident,
Mm-hmm.
but she is still highly capable.
Competent.
And yeah, highly competent.
Mm-hmm.
And her admitting that she is fallible, just further, I'm just like, I love Opal.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be a great place to put in a pitfall for your character.
Yeah.
To really give them a fault, like she's overly confident.
Mm-hmm.
But no, she's really not. If anything, she's hyper aware. And furthermore, she says, I can't let you go back there, and I can't even like say that this is yours. I have to do my own research on it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not only competent,
Mm-hmm.
she's equally diligent
and
in
vigilant.
her work and vigilant. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
always looking out.
Mm-hmm.
So she seems like the perfect fit for the person to take care of these artifacts.
The cursed artifact shop.
It's delightful.
Yeah, it is. And I want to know, is Opal hiring for an assistant? Because I'd like to apply.
You say that now.
I do.
Until some cursed artifact comes in there that, like a monkey's paw.
Oh. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, okay.
Paw of monkey. Yes. Yeah, I do say that now, and I will probably say it again later.
It is a delightful story.
It is so good.
It is so good. And apparently this was the third part of what Ace of Sword had intended to have for last week.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, Ace, I think you can, what you did here, kind of giving it all the space that it needs just on its own. I think if you wanted to go back and do the same with the others, expand on them.
Yeah.
This is so fun. I don't feel like there's anything you could put in here about this that would I would be like, nah, you probably don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I just want more detail.
Yeah.
So whatever detail you're willing to give this in an edit, I say run with it.
Absolutely. I'm loving it.
This is so much fun.
It is so much fun.
And perfect timing around Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah, delightful.
It's wonderful.
Also, the use of the word compulsion here,
Mm-hmm.
I thought was very nice. As far as I know, you could be some sort of doppelganger impersonating someone I trust or under compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a use of compulsion I'm used to hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you think of it as like acting compulsively.
Yeah.
Like almost like.
Well, I think of it as like obsessive compulsive.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're compelled to do something.
Yeah.
But I almost read this like under duress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a synonym for compulsion in this application. But that, again, that's just not a use of compulsion that I was really familiar with.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's all I got, Ace of Sword.
Yep. That was great, Ace. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So I think that it is now time for us to move on to The Torture of the Drop by Milmer Soy.
Milmer Soy?
Milmer Soy. So, Matt, what did you think about this?
Well, I don't have a whole lot of notes in this.
Mm-hmm.
This is because it just works very effectively to just read straight through.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a compelling story.
Yeah.
And it really held my attention all the way through because it's so suspenseful.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get a lot of information as far as the overall context of what's happening around.
Mm-hmm.
But we have these characters who are hiding in this, what we assume is like a sewer or a storm drain of some kind. And they're just waiting and waiting. I pictured them hanging off of a ladder.
Yeah, I think that's how it's described.
For 12 hours?
Yeah.
I would fall. I would absolutely fall. I don't think there's any way I could stay upright on a metal ladder for 12 hours.
I think that you could if you had to.
Yeah.
Or die.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
I think people in such situations, like military type of situations or revolution type of situations, have done even crazier shit than that.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
When you're pushed to the absolute extremes of what a person can physically handle. But yeah, it seemed kind of accurately written as far as it seems like something that could absolutely happen.
Yeah. It seems like a very believable scene.
Yeah.
Especially considering the context that these are revolutionaries and they're hiding from the establishment, we assume.
Yeah.
And they're waiting for the militia to show up. So
yes,
all of that does feel kind of just like dressing for the overall, or what I think is the overall story that probably prompted this, which is them hanging in the sewer and the blood that's dripping. Or the drip is blood.
Yes.
But we don't learn that until the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the development of Jimmy's character.
Yes.
Yeah, because at first we're told that he's not the most astute, but he's the most dedicated to the cause. So I kind of got the feeling that he wasn't super intelligent, but just like a total patriot. But then I come to respect his character a lot more. Because first of all, whenever he's like, that one guy's like, we can go now, like, please let's go.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's like, no, not yet. And Jimmy is the most cautious. And then he also ends up being the most self-sacrificing.
Yeah, he had the most to lose in that moment.
Because actually leaving when that other guy wanted to leave may have saved his life.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I was going to say it could be delirium or something from blood loss. But I think even then, like, the instinct for self-preservation would be too great for most people. But Jimmy completely overcame that instinct.
Yeah.
For the sake of saving everybody else there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Kind of touching.
It really is. It is a sad story. Yeah, it's again, now that we kind of know where Mio Mersoy begins is at the end, I can actually completely understand how this idea would come about.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating because you always handle these prompts very elegantly.
Yeah.
So this is no exception to any of that. And like I said, I don't have very many notes at all because I'm just reading it straight through. Like it's a captivating read.
Yeah.
It's easy to stay hooked and to stay engaged with your works, Mio. So and you always pay us off at the end with a satisfying conclusion. So very, very well done.
Yeah.
As usual.
Yeah. Ugh.
Good for you.
Yeah. Woo. We're so happy for you. Oh my God.
No, but seriously, I'm really happy. I love every time you bring us one of your stories because it's always a very satisfying conclusion.
To me, this read like just a good listening story, like a story that you might hear like around a campfire. Yeah. From like someone who's been through Revolution, war vet, somebody like that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just one that you would just sit there, you know, spellbound and just like take it all in, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And with that in mind, you could take this story and drop it into a larger story if you were working on something longer. So there are places for stories like this in longer novella and novels. Like,
yes.
So.
Exactly. So great job, Mio.
Yes. Excellent.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that brings us on to our next story, which is Nathaniel Mackinlin with Brothers Faded.
Yeah. So we're back with Bill.
Yeah.
And Adam. Dalton. Yeah, Adam Dalton.
Yes.
So, like I said, another entry into our Bill Waters and Detective Dalton story.
Yes.
So this turns the tables again.
Again, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
So Detective Dalton is now back in control
Mm-hmm.
of this situation. He knew all of this.
Yep.
He knew everything that was presented in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out that these two characters are, correct me if I'm reading this right, or if I'm reading this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm reading this wrong.
Okay.
Adam Dalton's dad was not necessarily father, but somehow involved with Bill Waters and the things that he did with when he was a kid. Is that right?
The way I'm reading is that Bill and Adam are brothers, and the dad is I'm kind of reading that Bill got this psychopath tendency from his dad because his dad was also killing people. And now maybe at the very end we get a suggestion that maybe Adam is also doing that. Right.
Or maybe is fighting against it, hence being on the cops.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fascinating turn that we take. It's still not entirely clear what the overall context of these two characters is and the relationship that they may or may not have to one another, either tangentially or like biologically related.
I think they have the same father. I think they're half brothers.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but it wasn't obvious if that was the case.
Yeah.
I read it that way, but because we ended on maybe we are brothers, so even they aren't necessarily clear. But we do get the kind of tale of Detective Dalton and his dad at this diner.
Yes.
Like whenever he was a kid. I thought that was a really solid. That's a solid set piece to give us that story, like telling us, having Detective Dalton tell Bill a story in this setting. I always love that. I love it whenever you can get a story inside of a story.
Yeah.
Like I love that we're getting that layering to this entry here.
Yeah. I was definitely getting Dexter vibes from this. You too? Yeah. When the brother comes along.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, okay, this is a family thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And is the dad an officer as well? Was the dad a police officer?
In this?
Yes, in this story.
I don't. If we were told that, I don't remember it.
Okay, because I didn't remember if that had been said or if I just was thinking about Dexter.
I don't think so, because we get... Then say he was going to a meeting with a friend of his down the road. Little did I know he was going to check on his victims at the warehouse down there. Yeah, whatever his occupation was, we don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. So this is basically a story cluing us into the backstory of Adam Dalton and his father. And we do a lot to set us up to the point where he divulges this information, and basically Detective Dalton cluing Bill into what he knows and so on. But yeah, just essentially another table turn. Yeah.
The plot thickens.
The plot indeed thickens.
Yes.
Yes.
Gelatinizes.
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 Yeah.
I promise that's how you say it.
But yeah, it's just an interesting complication to the overall story that you got here.
It is. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, okay, where is this going? What's going to happen next?
Yeah, what's
next? Are we going to
next?
find out that Adam is also a killer?
Certainly leading us that way.
It seems to be. Or like you said, that he maybe has those tendencies and is trying to suppress it.
Yeah, reacting against it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nathaniel.
Thank you, Nathaniel Macklin.
And last, we have our own in-house Wook against the machine with consequences.
That's me.
That's Rachel. Rachel.
That's me. That's me, guys. It's me.
So what did you think of this?
I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So did I.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much.
You're actually pretty good at writing. Do you know that?
No, me? No, stop. No. I mean, it's relative. It's all relative.
Yeah,
really.
it's all relative.
It's all, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Just take the damn compliment.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But no, it's quite well done.
Thank you.
And sadistic.
Thank you.
Layered on top of a really tragic story.
Yeah.
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 So it seems like this sadism that we get from this point of view character. Did we get her name?
No, we did not.
We did not get her name.
Mm-mm.
This sadism seems rooted in some trauma.
Well, at least that's what the therapist thinks.
Okay. Okay.
We don't really know if that's what caused her sadism.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you plan on complicating this then?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like you want to leave it where it is, or do you want to keep going with it?
I am not sure. I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But honestly, that was my biggest question. Is this how you just leave this?
That's a very good question.
Or do you want to expand on this?
That is a very good question. It started as and is actually meant to be more of an exploration of this character's internal chaos. More than focusing on the actual acts that are occurring.
Right. Yeah. That's clear.
Okay. Awesome.
Considering the amount of time that you spend on the internal dialogue that this character is having with themselves.
Yes.
And also bringing in the therapist. Just basically forces us to think okay, what are we exploring with the qualities of this character's mind?
Yes. Yeah.
And you very effectively explore that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's quite well done and well paced, I thought.
Yay. Yeah, I wasn't sure where I knew that there were going to be guys tied up in the basement. And I knew that
as a subversion to our recurring theme of girls tied up in the basement.
Oh, not necessarily. But what would make you say that? But and I knew that the point of view character was going to be in my mind, what is a psychopath.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So she doesn't, she feels elated at making people suffer.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Zero empathy, just elation. The kind of elation you can imagine, whatever was your happiest moment in life.
Yeah.
That type of elation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I highlighted this line. My therapist reassured me that I wasn't a bad person. I didn't really want to hurt anyone. My fantasies were a natural defense mechanism to the trauma that I had endured. My comment was, misplaced reassurance, or is this just simple unintended consequences?
What did you mean by unintended consequences?
The unintended consequences of the therapists telling them that these fantasies are just that, a natural defense mechanism.
So you mean this is happening because the therapist said it was natural? Actually, I think that it was already going to happen regardless, because the thing had already been getting so big, growing so much inside the character, that it was she could no longer contain it. So it was going to come out either with the therapist or otherwise. And
so the therapist is just not aware of the magnitude of their...
No. And I think the therapist doesn't realize that she's dealing with not a normal person.
Okay.
Yeah. So...
It's pretty damning for the therapist.
Well, psychopaths apparently are really good actors.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Very, very manipulative. But I think that... I really actually was kind of inspired that part that's I didn't really want to hurt anyone, but she didn't know me. I kind of that part was inspired by The Ring. Remember The Ring, the horror movie from 2001?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was Samara was being interviewed by this psychologist or whatever. And the psychologist is you don't really want to hurt anyone, do you? And Samara's but I do. And it won't stop. That part always like really disturbed me. And I was like, that's what I wanted to hear. It's like, I do want to hurt people. Like it makes me feel really good. And I can't stop feeling that way. And I don't feel bad about it.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't pleasure or pain that motivated me. It was power.
Yes.
Simple power trip.
Yep.
Also, just the way that you it clue us into how she lures these people in. My new friends were so careless, so clumsy, so thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you gave us plenty of clues, with a touch of lipstick and a short skirt,
Right.
Like you gave us enough clues there, but just to add in the little thirsty bit.
Yes.
Was a nice touch.
Thank you. And I would be curious to the readers to find out, what do you think she is doing to these guys?
Well, I mean, it would all be speculation. You don't give us any kind of clues other than that they are bound. We know that they are kept here, and they seem like they're starving. So
seems like they've been through it.
Yeah.
They've been through the ringer.
Yeah. So what is or is not happening? Like I don't even want to speculate just because like why?
Yeah.
Why? If you want to give us the clues as to what's happening down there, I'd be curious to read that. But also just the little clues that you give. I was exhilarated by their helplessness, fascinated by their utter dependence on me. The frayed fibers of the rope around their wrists betrayed pathetic attempts at disobedience.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well written.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I read that and I was like, damn. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well done. And just horrible.
Grazie. Thank you.
And to touch on a comment by Walker by Faith, I think he nailed it. The theme, like the title as the theme, works perfectly. Just perfectly.
Yay.
Consequences.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for reading.
Thank you for submitting it, Rachel.
You are so welcome.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our last story for this week.
And all that jazz.
I'm gonna rouge my knee. And all that jazz. All right.
If you wait, we're not doing that yet.
The outro?
No,
not yet.
Sorry,
we have okay.
bad.
That moves us straight into episode 14.
Woo, 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 woo.
And so for the month of November, we are asking you guys to consider doing a long form story.
Yes.
The idea being that you work on it on the podcast, and if you want to, off the podcast, all throughout the month of November, because it is National Novel Writing Month.
National Novel November.
National Novel Writing Month.
National Novel Bember.
But yeah. So the idea is to work on a story throughout the entire month of November to the point where you have a nice novella or a full novel. So we wanted to take part in that. And if you feel like working on that throughout the month, then by all means participate. But if that is too daunting of a task, just continue submitting short stories like we've done in the past. But with that in mind, for episode 14 and throughout the rest of the month of November, we are lifting the 30-minute time limit.
We're lifting it.
Yes, it is lifted. Also, if you already have a set of stories that you're working on, don't feel that you are beholden to the prompt that we give you, which is write us a revolutionary character set in a utopia or a dystopia.
Just a topia.
Just any topia.
Any topia will do.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be a photopia.
Yeah.
Or a hypertopia.
Or a hypotopia.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are, but they are topias. But so the prompt is a revolutionary character set in a utopia or a dystopia.
Yeah.
And the words for this are financial, profession, division, landowner, and insure. Do you have a definition for financial?
Yes, financial is actually an adjective, and it is pertaining to finances. Finances being money.
Yeah. Not much else there.
Nope.
How about profession?
Profession. So this one, on the other hand, is a noun. And profession, well, it's a job. But people are like, that's a profession and this is a career. It's like, okay, whatever. Are you getting paid for it? All right, it's the same.
Sounds pedantic.
It is.
Okay.
I think there's whole books about it. But basically, if you are a professional something, that literally means you're getting paid for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you get paid for a profession and a career.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want.
No, let's not go there.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. But profession it's a job, it's a job. I mean, I could go into what it means in Latin. It means something like to speak forth, profess.
Yeah, I was going to say profession doesn't necessarily just apply to a job or a position that you hold. There could be a profession of love and admiration.
Yes. Oh, that's true. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You are so right. A speaking forth.
Yeah, speaking forth.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's interesting that profession has come to mean job when it actually does mean to speak forth. Whereas a profession of love, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should stop referring to jobs as professions and just call them careers.
Yeah.
Or jobs.
Like, what if you work at like a car wash for a summer? Would we call that a career?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Why not?
Okay. Yeah. All right. No. Yeah. Totally. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. It's decided. We figured it out.
I like it. I'm into it.
Okay. How about division?
Division. This is an art of math. It's a specific art form of mathematics.
An art?
Is that like an oxymoron?
I don't even know.
Okay.
You said art of, and I was like, oh God, where are we going?
It's an art of math. It's whenever you divide one thing by another thing to make it be another thing. But also it can be a section, a division. Similar to a bracket.
Yeah.
In a way.
In that way.
In that way. Yeah. Wink, wink, wink.
No, I did not. I did not wink.
Okay. All right, I thought I saw your eyelid ruffle.
That was me having a mild conniption.
Oh. Okay. Division, it can be like a dissonance, like a problem in a group, a division, dividing them, caused a division among the church members.
Yeah, as an example, yes. Okay.
For example.
Okay. How about landowner?
Landowner. This is, come to find out, somebody who owns land.
What?
Yeah. Somebody who owns land.
Since when? I
don't know. That's just what it means today.
Huh.
In this day and time.
Huh. All right. In sarcasm. Landowner. That's it.
Yeah.
It's. Is there a word for words that get mashed together?
Yeah.
Is that a portmanteau? That's not a portmanteau.
Portmanteau. No. Oh, yeah. Words that get mashed together. Not
but
landowner.
That's not landowner.
No. It's like saying
like brunch. Slunch.
Yes. I have been saying this for years. You never heard this?
No. Is that lunch supper?
Yes. But I don't really know that would be a portmanteau because the entire word lunch is in it. But portmanteaus are my expertise, actually.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I and anyone else who knows you, even in passing, knows this about you.
Yes. Portmanteaus is my jam.
Yar.
Yeah.
Okay, how about insure?
Insure, is that with an I or an E?
E.
Oh, it's to make sure of something.
Isn't that a beverage as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a thing that old people drink.
Yeah.
It comes in a carton. I think I've had my fair share of insures over the years.
I mean, yeah, to make sure of,
Yeah.
make certain,
Mm-hmm.
guarantee,
Those all mean the same thing.
certify,
Those all mean the same thing.
clinch.
Same.
I looked up similar words for ensure, and it said clinch.
Clinch. Is that with an I or an E?
Same problem. It's with an I. So those are all the words for next episode.
Yes.
We have financial,
Mhm.
profession,
Mhm.
division, landowner,
Mhm.
and insure.
Yep. That's them.
That's them. That's them words.
Them
And
words.
again, the prompt is a revolutionary character
Mhm.
in a utopia or a dystopia.
Mhm.
And the plan is, if you're starting a new story with us next week, the plan is to hold on to that throughout the month of November.
Mhm.
So think about it as chapter 1.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And just see what happens.
Did we want to go into the etymology of utopia and dystopia?
Sure. Yes. Actually, yeah. Let's discuss those. Yeah.
So whenever we said topia, any topia, we were just joking. Because topia actually comes from the Greek topos, and it means place.
Mhm.
So we actually don't want it to be any place. We want it to be either a really good place or a really bad place. So that brings me to the prefix U, E-U. That is Greek for, you guessed it, good.
Real good.
Real
Real
good.
good. Hence
So-
euphoria.
Right.
Yeah. And then utopia, which is fascinating. Why is it spelled without the E in utopia?
It's a really good question. I'm gonna
Also,
look it
is Europe just a good place?
up. No, that comes from the character in Greek mythology, Europa.
But the EU prefix.
Yes, but there's no place in that name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But actually, I think that utopia can be spelled with an EU. It can. Or just a U.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it spelled with an E, but as soon as I typed it out, I was like, oh, that looks completely natural.
And then, of course, well, that's, like in dysentery.
Yeah.
It's
Bad.
Real bad.
That bad.
That's real bad. Bad
That's,
place.
That's bad place.
Bad place.
So yeah, utopia, good place.
Yeah. Dysentery.
Dysentery, bad place.
Bad place.
Bad place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is safe to say that one person's utopia is another person's dystopia.
Sure.
So where there is one, the other is likely to follow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, for example, in my story, it was a utopia for the main character.
And it was an absolute total horror show for everyone else.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Revolutionary character in a utopia or dystopia.
Yep.
Writing about it throughout the month of November.
One more time. Revolutionary character.
In a where?
Utopia or dystopia. Month of November.
Yes. All of that. And, for instance, like Walker by Faith and even Chillax and Yak. I know you just finished your long form story here. You've been working on it for 7 entries now. If you wanted to continue working on your cryptid tale and just bring us edits, I'm totally fine with that. I just want you to write in whatever way makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And the goal is to have something, you have to have a long form story at the end of November.
You have a book.
Yeah, that's a book.
That's
You're going to write a book. Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do that.
Me too.
And I never have.
We're not allowed to do this prompt.
Yeah.
We can only watch other people do it and be jealous.
We're just going to live vicariously through you guys writing books.
Yes.
So, but just the same, if you already have something that you're working on, and if there's something that you already have that isn't a part of the podcast to date, feel free to bring us entries to that story.
Yes.
This is pretty free form for the month of November. We're lifting the time limit. All we ask is that you keep your word count under 2,000 words for what you're submitting to us for the sake of our busy schedules.
For the sake of our Okay.
If you want to be like these wonderful writers and submit your story to You Write, head on over to our subreddit at reddit.com/r/youwritepod.
If you're unable to submit a story this week, that's just fine. You can still help us out by reading and commenting on other people's stories.
Each time you post a story or leave a comment on someone else's submission, you increase your chances of having your story read on the podcast.
You can also reach us at youwritepod@gmail.com.
If you like our show and want to help support us, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/youwrite.
If you're unable to donate, that's okay too. You can still help us by sharing the podcast with other writers and non-writers alike.
Also, if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, be sure to do that. It's a little bell or something. Just go click the little bell.
Click it.
Yeah.
Click it. Also, be sure to leave us a rating and review in your podcatcher of choice.
We will be reading one review on each episode, so get creative.
And remember, join us next week on You Write,
a podcast where you write. And all that jazz. Meow, 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 meow. And all that jazz. Meow, 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 meow. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.